You know what it is. I'm not going to get too much into the weeds on this one. I've got three real talking points, and then we'll get out of here. But I do think that there are three things worth covering, worth remembering, and worth thinking about going forward in this season. And they are pretty loose talking points, if I'm being honest with all parties involved. The first one is we've been here before. The Chiefs have done this sort of thing before. The Chiefs have run sort of loosey-goosey through a certain part of their season. Sometimes it's early, sometimes it's the middle, sometimes it's late. And then the playoffs come and everything is buttoned up. But what I have to say, what we all have to understand here is that 5-4 is a rough place to be. 5-4, it means that you have to win a lot of games in a row. And yeah, when we were talking earlier after the 0-2 start about budgeting losses, you could afford to lose this one. You could. Doesn't make it any easier on the math going forward, especially when you're looking at the Broncos twice, the Chargers once, and the Colts, all of whom would be in the I believe so, would be in the playoffs right now. I did not keep up too terribly much with the scores yesterday. I might be wrong on that, but a good deal of them. Either the Chargers or the Broncos would be in the playoffs today. So, when you look back at this season, the Chargers loss, yeah, that one was just a game not going your way. Those happen in the NFL all the time. The Eagles loss. Well, look, you just lost to the Eagles the game before last at that point, and it was a much worse loss at that time. So, okay, yeah, got a few young players in a few spots, still trying to work some of the kinks out. That's understandable. The Jaguars' loss was an absolute catastrophic failure at certain points, but it was not a bad game for the team overall. It was one or two things here or there that really kind of led to a loss. And again, those things happen in the NFL. Those things happen in the NFL to every team, every season. And then there was this one. This was a loss where nothing really worked. Not really. And this leads me into the second point here. There's no real reason to belabor this, but we all know what this is. There's one of these games every season, and I'm going to say this partially because I believe it. I'm going to say this partially as hopium, and I'm going to say this partially as copium. Every season, it seems like the Chiefs have one of these games where absolutely nothing really works, and it is a kick in the pants, and it is a point where they say, oh, we can't just walk onto the field and absolutely win everything. Unfortunately, last season, that happened in the Super Bowl. Every other time it's happened, the Chiefs make adjustments. There is no better time in this season for this game to occur than right before the bye week. You know Patrick Mahomes isn't going to take extra time off during the bye week. You know Andy Reid is not going to take extra time off during the bye week. I will not make the same very argument for all of the players on the team. Chris Jones appears to be enjoying his time off at this stage in his career. Maybe I'm wrong. Just throwing that out there. Just my observations. Here's what this is on a life scale, right? Here's how I think of this game. Every winter, I get fat. Oh man, I get so out of shape. I don't do push-ups, I don't do sit-ups, I do some walking, I don't do any cardio. You should see the food that I am willing to call food and put in my body. It's terrible, miserable, awful. I don't take care of myself. Every summer comes around, and I think, I just hit 40, okay? I'm not that bad. I still got some years left, right? To be spry, to be pungently masculine, right? I've still got some time left. I can still do this. And I'll go for a run. And at that moment, I know what that winter did to me. At that moment, at that time, I understand I've got to do some things differently if I want to run again. Because whatever was just, there's no, hey, man, you're not okay. This game happens every year like that run does for me. And the Chiefs come out of it, and they think, this is embarrassing. Okay? Couple too many cheeseburgers. Maybe I should do some push-ups. Right? Nothing worked like it was supposed to. There were some big plays. There were some splash plays. There was a couple good moments on defense. I think you started to see why Noel Williams was not a second-round pick. That speed is concerning. But he's got some technique that he can still learn and make up for that, mask that, right? But it was exposed versus the Bills. Which leads me into the third talking point here. This is what the Bills do to the Chiefs in the regular season somehow every time. Noel Williams, kind of slow. Noel Williams, inexperienced. We're just going to bombs away on it. And they do. And they win. And somehow, some way, the playoffs come around. The Chiefs have answers, and the Bills don't. I have been accused, from time to time, of being a homer, of being a copium guy, because I say that Andy Reid doesn't bring everything out in the regular season. Guys, I think that's 1,000% true. I think the fact that Patrick Mahomes is, he's number 2 all time in postseason wins, right? Am I 2 or 3? Did he pass Montana? Anyway, I'll look into it after but there's a reason for that. It's part of the strategy. Now, I will say that at this point in the season, you've got to consider letting that go. And look, I don't think there's 40% of the playbook that Andy Reid is holding back. What I'm saying is that he constructs his plays based on defenses. So, week 1, and I'm just going to keep it real, like this is elementary compared to what Andy Reid is doing. Week 1, out of a 4-wide double set, it's 4 slants. Okay, cool. The defense, that's hard to cover. But if you see 2 and 2, you know it's 4 slants as a defensive player. Well, that's what Andy does week 1 and week 2. Week 3, those slants turn into slant and goes. Oh no. Now we have to back off of the slant a little bit if we're playing the Chiefs in week 4. We saw that on film. It means there's 2 different route combinations they can do out of that. Week 6, it's 4 whip routes. So now you don't know what's going on. That's elementary. That's not what Andy Reid is doing. But it's something similar. And to suggest that it's just hiding plays is dishonest. Dishonest is the wrong word. Dishonest is too severe. To suggest that it's just hiding plays is, I think, a misunderstanding. At some point, though, the Chiefs have the Broncos twice, the Chargers once, the Colts, the Cowboys, who I don't think are very good, but they have some very good players, and that can always be dangerous. And there's always off-the-wall, batty games that you can lose. But the Bills just won the Super Bowl. You saw it on the field. You saw it on their sidelines. You saw it, you heard it in their stands. And I get it, right? It must be cathartic. It must be cathartic for the Bills to beat the Chiefs and keep that hope that, look, we can beat them in the postseason. And they can. They're a good team. It can happen. I wouldn't bet on it. But the scary part there, if you're the Bills, is it is cathartic. And now that pressure valve has been pressed. How much of the air comes out of the tires? If you're the Chiefs, you have the absolute opposite motivations coming out of this game. If you're the Bills, you come out of this game thinking, look, we're on top of the world. A few weeks ago, everybody thought we were the number one team in the NFL. A little bit of a rocky patch. Now everybody thinks we're fourth, we're fifth. The Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. They come to town. Well, guess what? We're going to take you behind the woodshed. And it wasn't quite that, but they won. 1,000% they won. It wasn't a fluky win. There were some fluky things, but there were fluky things, I think, on both sides. So, you're the Bills. At this point, you're on top of the world. 53 guys on top of the world. 53 guys absolutely positive they will win the Super Bowl. And they should be. They should feel that way. But that's a tough emotion to keep. The Chiefs, on the other hand, just got a whooping. And that doesn't make you feel very happy. There's no air out of the tires at that point. So that's really all I've got for this one. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this with other Chiefs fans. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.